Welcome to the Mary Beth Konis podcast. I'm your host, Mary Beth Konis. In today's episode, we are going to be answering questions like, how do I know what the right decision is for me? And what if I make the wrong decision? How do I determine what's best for me? I am so glad you're here. And as always, make sure to subscribe and drop a positive review wherever you're listening. How do you make your decisions? What do you have a formula? What do you do when there's something that needs to be decided? Whether this is where to go to school or where you want to live or who you want to date or partner with or be friends with or have children and blah, blah, blah. How do you make your decisions? That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's dissect a few things. So, lately I've had a few sessions with clients, and this has come up where it's like, it's weighty, it's heavy, it can cause a little bit of anxiety. It can keep you up at night thinking about how am I going to make the right choice for myself, right? So, as we know, or maybe we don't, so let me refresh really quickly. My background, I was raised, we didn't call ourselves this, but it's fundamental Christianity. So that patriarchal spirituality and religion. Um, and then ended up straight up in an evangelical cult situation. And the way decision making was taught to me or presented to me, and maybe this is familiar for some of you listening, is to pray about it, to consider um, the Bible and scripture and your spiritual leaders and let them weigh in on it and see what they have peace with about your life. And sometimes this is like your parents, or maybe a mentor or somebody who has walked a similar path that you would like to, or something like that, right? So that all sounded very sound to me growing up. It sounded like that was wisdom. Okay. And I love getting older for this reason, because I look back and I'm thankful that I had that experience, because now I feel so very confident that the best person to weigh in on the decision making for myself is myself. And not just myself in my anxious, overactive, over analytical mind, but myself tuned in to my intuition and really tapping into that, what I call the sixth sense, which is your gut instinct, your intuition. Some people call it the Holy Spirit, whatever. It's that inner knowing that's like in your cells. Every person has this, and it is our job. It is something, it's an ongoing journey, but learning how to listen to that voice inside, that whisper of wisdom and knowing, and then developing a relationship of trust with it, right? Where you're not second guessing yourself or doubting yourself and every decision you make, and I don't know if I made the right one, and that. Where's the adult in the room? Who's going to tell me what to do? But learning how to be that for yourself. Okay. So that's the life skill we're looking for, right? So how do we develop that? And we're going to kind of dissect this under the premise of decision making, and how do we make choices that we can trust ourselves with, right? So here's how I was explaining it to a client earlier this week. If you believe that there is a plan for you, a predestined, designed, created plan for your life, this is going to be really difficult for you to make decisions, because um, the premise of that, or what is subtly conveyed there, is this idea that there's a right or wrong path for you. If there's one path for you, then that means all the other ones are wrong, right? So, what I'd like you to consider, if you're coming from that thinking, is what if the path for you has everything to do with you and less to do with the outcome of the path. Okay, so let's break that down a little bit. So, if we believe that we are living organisms, which I hope we're not going to argue about that, full of learning and knowledge and capacity and growth and all of these things, right? So we are unfolding as we get older and maturing and learning who we are. As we develop and we learn something there, or we have this experience and that really lights us up and this sounds intriguing to us, or we meet this kind of person and we want to explore this kind of work or whatever. As we explore life and learn about ourselves, we are finding our path. Okay, so it's not like, oh, I have to do this or that. I mean, I hear you. There's going to be people who come from families or groups, whether it's church or religion or your alma mater or whatever, where it's like you have to do this, you have to have this kind of track of life. But hear me out. Let's dissect. Let's deconstruct that a little bit, okay? Because if it's not serving you now, down the road, it's not going to serve you. Trust me, because we were made to evolve and flow with our own, whatever our own rhythm and path is. And that's our job as humans and souls on this earth, is to figure that out. Okay. So we are evolving and growing and learning. And as we do, we are faced with decisions. We have to make choices, either here or there, this or that, this one or that one. What are we going to do? Okay. And this is, again, back to jobs, schooling, career, partners, children or no children, where we're going to live, all the things. Okay. So whatever comes across your path, whatever presents itself to you, I want you to consider how you can align your decision making with your core values, which I do this work. I have a whole exercise that I do with my clients that is so incredibly powerful for identifying your top 5 core values. I'll just share mine with you just for an example. My top one is authenticity. Second is love. Third is freedom. Fourth is integrity. Fifth is EQ, so emotional intelligence. Okay. Now that you know my top 5 core values, I think you can see where the content of this podcast comes in and, the topics that I talk about. Obviously, these things all align with those values. And so when you know what your core values are, it's kind of like the pillar of what motivates you, what excites you, what makes you feel alive and lights you up. Okay. So when we're making decisions, we can kind of look at, let's just say we have 2 decisions or 2 options. And we say, let me hold this one for a second and look at all the angles of it. And does this align with my core values? Maybe it aligns with this one or that one, but maybe not all of them. And, maybe in this capacity or not this or whatever, right? And then we look at this other one and we say, wow, this really aligns with most of my core values and, in this and that way and whatever, right? So we're looking and we're addressing all the angles of each option we have. And maybe you make a pros and cons list, and maybe you just process specifically what is going to nurture the growth of each value or a value you really want to bring more of into your world, things like that. Okay. But using your core values as a way to make decisions is so helpful. And then also using this concept, this little maybe idea or formula. And that is, imagine that there is no wrong decision. It is not about making the right or wrong decision. You simply get to choose, and just know that whatever you choose, you're there to learn. You're there to learn and grow and evolve and find love, how you can express and receive love, and how you can absorb and experience it in humanity. Okay? That's the most baseline, basic, foundational principle of why we exist. If you're looking for purpose, look for learning and love. And I don't mean try to find somebody to love you. That is absolutely not what I'm talking about. I am talking about find connection and love and presence wherever you go, in whatever form that it comes across your path. And let's just break down love really quick. Okay, here's a side note about my definition of love is an exchange where people or humans or pets, like let's be honest, feel seen, heard, known, understood, validated, loved. Okay, this is love, that unconditional acceptance, that unwavering support. So, if this is what we want to align with in our lives, think about it when you're looking at the options for whatever decision is on your in your mind right now, and consider which kind of learning and growth and love you'd like to explore right now. Okay. So, and again, you can imagine there's no wrong or right choice, right? Um, and I'm saying this generically. Like, I actually do think there are right and wrong choices about having children. I think I made that clear in the previous podcast. I don't think other people should bring other souls into the world unless they are fully ready to commit to a lifetime of growth and learning around that relationship and evolution. But aside from that, and even, I will tell you this, but I've given you my 5 top values in there. I'm sure you can deduce that when I am in partnership or relationship, those things are very open and honest. I am having open, honest conversations about that. So if your decisions affect other people, then take everything I'm saying. Yes, that's true. And also use your words and articulate those things so that the other person or other people involved can also weigh in and have all the information they need to make an informed decision. Okay. So there's a little preface or caveat to this decision making formula, if you will. But the baseline here is a couple things. Imagine that there's no right or wrong when you're making a decision about which career path to take, which major to choose in college, which college to go to, which roommate to choose, which person to date. Let's say that. And then finding, digging a little bit deeper in those personal choices and deciding, is parenthood something that I want? And how can I develop and learn and grow and be ready for that? And then also commit to that, things like that. Okay. So imagine there's no right or wrong choice for you. Imagine that whatever you choose is the path. Okay. And that you're going to learn whatever lessons your soul was here to learn. Whichever path you choose, eventually you're going to learn all the lessons. You're going to be presented with the opportunity to learn the lessons. Okay. So we can trust that. And then we can lean in and relax a little bit and just say, okay, I get to have some say in where my life goes. And the truth is you get all the say in where your life goes. If you don't like something about your life, guess freaking what? You have all the power to change that. You make a choice, right? And it's hard and it's unfamiliar. And humans we code safety as familiar. And so that's not always necessarily the truth, right? So learning how to develop that relationship with yourself, and this is going back to listening to that inner knowing and developing a trust where this isn't just familiar to me and that's why it feels good. It is right. I feel it in my bones. There's something that I know in my soul that I don't necessarily know from experience or in my head yet. That's really important to explore throughout your life. Okay, so next time you are making a decision, a big decision in your life, consider these factors. Allow yourself to soften and accept your inner knowing, that deep wisdom that lives in your cells, and maybe develop a little bit of trust with this next one, and just tell yourself no matter what, no matter where this path and this choice leads, I can do it. I can learn, I can grow, I can find love. And guess what? If I hate it in a year or 6 months or whatever, I can change my mind. And that doesn't make me a failure. It makes me a lifelong learner. And then you take the wisdom from that mishap or that, oop, changed my mind, didn't like that one. Oh, that didn't turn out how I like. That's fine. That's life. You learn from it and you take the wisdom of that life lesson and you channel it and you apply it to future decisions. Okay. And this is how we get to know ourselves. So have fun exploring yourself. I'll see you next time.